We are the one, the light in the dark. One heart, one world, one spark. We are the one, together we rise. One dream, one voice, one sky.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Empowered Across the World. And this is our podcast. And we have our host with us today, and we have a special guest speaker. And I'm just going to tell you Maria's here from the UK, Rakshaw's here from Miami. Renata's here she's from Brazil and she lives in Oregon now. And we have Susie, who's from Cameroon, and she is now in Kentucky. And myself, I'm from Florida, and I run a global organization that is in 38 countries in Africa. All right, so I want to bring our guest on, Christine, and she's going to tell us an amazing story, guys. Get ready to be inspired. What she is about really makes a difference for our whole world. So, Christine, come join us and inspire all of our women across the world.
Good morning. Good morning. Wow, thank you. Thank you for that. Where do I start? Do you have a basic question you want to start with, or you want me to?
No, just share your story.
Okay. My
Share
story is
how
basically
this
that.
all happened for you. Yeah.
Well, I guess to go back to start the story is I am a huge advocate for women and men against abuse and domestic violence. And there's a reason that I'm that advocate. I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I am a podcast host myself. Um, it's something that's not talked about enough. Over here in the States, I'm in Tennessee. Over here in the States, the statistics for the United States is that it used to be 1 in 4 women pre-COVID. During COVID, it went to 1 in 3 women. Now, before COVID, it was 1 in 4 women may experience abuse and domestic violence. Okay, sorry.
We included
So,
in.
so during COVID, it became 1 in 3 women have experienced abuse. Notice the change in the language. Okay. After COVID, it has stayed 1 in 3 women have experienced abuse and domestic violence. That is way too much in my book. Way too much. Men, that went from 1 in 7 men who experience abuse and domestic violence may experience to 1 in 4 men are experiencing abuse and domestic violence.
Wow.
Again, that is just, it's not acceptable. So my story is basically when I was, and I'll make this really quick because it's a long story. And I basically just put it out as what they're facts now because I've healed from all this. But when I was in my 30s, I discovered that I was molested by a family member till I was 4 or 5 years old. And then I had an uncle that raped me when I was 11 or 12. From there on, it has been several rapes, several gang rapes. I've been abducted 3 times, held against my will. Those are not pretty. My first marriage was somewhat narcissistic, not verbally abusive. Okay. But my second marriage was the worst because I hadn't healed yet from all that abuse in my previous life that I had gone through. He had my second marriage. There was everything from the psychological, the mental, the sexual, the verbal, I said that. I mean, like every abuse that you could possibly think of, this man did it, including the physical. I've had everything from black eyes, choke marks around my neck, bruises all over my body, bite marks. He actually took a rubber mallet and beat me so bad with it that he broke my wrist, cracked 3 of my ribs, and in 2015, he shot me in the back of the head. I'm also, because of all that abuse, that I had endured for my whole life. I am also a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. I'm clean and sober. I'm so happy to tell you that I am clean and sober almost 8, actually, it's a little over 8 years now. I also speak about not only the abuse and the domestic violence, but that mental health that we go through that we don't talk about enough. And that is that suicidal tendencies. Because we'd have, we were alienated from family, we're alienated from friends, we're left at home to fend for ourselves. We don't walk on eggshells, we walk on shards of glass. So I do speak about suicide, and I let everybody know that I've attempted suicide at least 6 times in my life because of all that I had gone through. I died on the operating table twice. I should not have survived a motorcycle accident. And it was when I did finally find the strength, and it's hard. It is hard. But the day after I was shot in the head is the day that I said, enough is enough. And that was already 6 years that I was with that man. It took me another 3 to finally get out, to finally have enough courage to be able to say, I'm done. I don't know what life ahead of this looks like, but I am trying to do everything that I possibly. And hope was the only thing that kept me going. And I had that little bit of hope because I lost my friends, I lost family. I had no one in my life anymore. This man controlled everything. I kiddingly say, but not kiddingly, that he was a true narcissistic psychopath, or you could call him a psychopathic narcissist. But that's how bad it was. So I finally got out in 2018 after, almost a year in and out of the hospital. While I was in the hospital, I had 4 surgeries, 15 procedures. I have a scar that basically runs from here to here. When they opened me up on the second surgery, they removed my gallbladder, my appendix, part of my colon, part of my intestine, and my whole left fallopian tube. Because of infection and the alcoholism, I was full-blown cirrhosis of the liver. I now walk around with a stent in my liver. And the only words that my surgeon ever spoke when I finally came out after that second surgery was, Christine, if you take another drink, you will die. And at that point, I said, you know what, enough is enough. Really, now enough really is enough. And I haven't had a drink since. And I've been sober. And I thought, that's a theory I don't want to test. He's the doctor. I'm not. That's a theory I don't want to test. So thank you. So I took the opportunity when I finally, said enough was enough. And I basically kicked him out of the house. I said, get your ass out. I'm done. I finally found that courage. And I have not stopped. I have been unstoppable. One of the biggest things that I teach is, and that I speak about is there are 3 words in the English language that are the hardest to say, but they will make the hugest impact on our lives. And they are, I need help. And when I said I need help, there were so many people that helped. And that's all it took was that little bit of courage. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to deal with this. So I help other women that go through this across the world. And what I'm working on now is part of everything else that I do. What I'm working on now is actually starting a nonprofit called the SASSI Villages. The easiest way to explain this is they are shelters on steroids. Because I've experienced shelters, I've experienced what they lack. And what I want to do is have, these villages where women and men can come in and, that when they hear those doors close behind them, that they can go and finally take a breath and know that they have a place that they're loved, they can heal, and they can get their lives back. And those villages will be across the world because I know the statistics in other countries, ladies. It's not pretty. We can do this. We can eradicate abuse and domestic violence through this, through having this conversation, letting other women know that it's okay to say, I need help, to reach out to somebody.
Oh, so
But
beautiful.
that's what I do.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Uh, I knew when you shared your topic, I knew I was going to, uh, yeah. And it has to be shared. It has to be, people have to know there's help out there. You're not,
Yes.
because when it's happening to you, you feel alone. You feel like
Yes.
you are, there's no help for you at all. I
This
get
is
it.
true.
I get it. And
Yeah, we feel so alone. Like I said, we're alienated from our family and our friends and
yeah,
even our coworkers. We don't know how. It's a subject that, back in our mothers and our grandmothers' age, what did we do? We just buried that shit under the carpet. We
uh,
didn't talk about it. And
uh,
even now, we still don't talk about it enough.
yeah,
So if we can open up the subject lines and we can talk about it openly and freely,
yeah,
then maybe that one woman out there that just is not 100% sure, and every woman finds that strength in her time. I never push a woman to do anything against her will, or, even though, anybody that's been through it, we know, okay, the best thing for you is to get out, but it's on her time. It has to be, there are friends out there that say, I don't understand why you don't leave sooner. That is not the conversation we have. When she is ready, she will know it and she will find the help. And we just have to keep speaking about it and say, we're here. We're other women out here. The more I talk about it, the more women come forward and go privately, openly, in all forms possible that I get, I was abused when in my first marriage. I was this in my first marriage. I was this in my first marriage. My father did this. My uncle, they start sharing their stories quietly. Shh, don't say anything. But they do share. And through sharing, we heal.
yes, absolutely. So, Christine, I have a question for you. First
Go
one,
for it.
okay, so what other things are you doing to support women? And I know you are. So what other things are you doing to support women? Um, do you run groups? And I know you're a coach also. So can you share more about that?
Oh, absolutely. There's okay. So not only do I have a group for the women, but I've also started, I think about 4 months ago now, I actually started a group for men because I realized through going through those chats that men were saying, well, what about us? We're experiencing, it may not be physical all the time, although it can be. Okay. Men were saying, I don't have anybody to listen to me, the health sector out there does not recognize, law enforcement has a hard time recognizing that men are being abused because he's 6 foot and she's 5 foot. Mm-mm, mm-mm. So I do have, they deal with a lot of the men in my private group. They deal with a lot of the mental health issues that go with it.
Mhm.
Women in that situation tend to, unfortunately, use the children as pawn pieces. And these men, they're being denied. Yeah, yeah, you can see your son, you can see your children, you can see your daughter. And then, oh, sorry, something came up, you know. So I work with other mental health professionals out there so that not only men, but women also can help deal with, I give a ton of interviews. I do a lot of that to get the word out there. But like I said, the biggest thing that I'm working on is that nonprofit, the SASSI Village Foundation. And SASSI, by the way, is an acronym for strong, assertive, smart, sexy, and independent. Because every woman has that. Call it your intuition, call it your gut, whatever you'd like to call it. Every woman has that. And especially a woman that's been through abuse. It's there, it's smoldering, and it just needs that little bit of fan on the fire to ignite it again for those women of abuse. And that's what I do.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love that you took something that really could have destroyed you, totally destroyed you. Almost did.
Yes.
Almost did. And
Yeah, several times.
and you turned it around and created something that is so impactful, so needed. Um, and now you make a difference. So much so that you have sobriety,
Yes.
so much so that you will not be trying to end your life again because
Mm-mm.
you make a difference out there.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Absolutely
Thank you.
beautiful. You have
Thank
so
you.
touched me.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Who else has a question? Yeah, go ahead, Susie.
Christine, we really need you in this world. It's like because I've seen so many people going through so much, and if only they can open their mouth and accept that, you know what, at this point, I need help. That's the questions most of them cannot really say. And I've even seen relatives, like people you love, going through such trauma, but you cannot help them because they don't think they need your help. They don't think you'll be strong enough to like even accept what they're going through without judging them. So what strategy, in that point of view, what strategy can you give us if we want to approach somebody we know, right, that is going through this a lot of trauma? Maybe it's not like physical in terms of marriage, in terms of abuse, but it's childhood abuse that is still, is the person has carried that same abuse till his adulthood. And because of that, the person doesn't want to allow itself to be happy because he thinks they think they don't deserve happiness. So how can we approach such person to give them a hope to try again?
Mm.
Great question, Miss Susie. Thank you. That is one of the things that, because it's a two-sided coin. Okay. Not only do we have that person experience abuse, okay, but we do have friends and family that see the changes we physically go through. Heavier makeup, longer sleeves, withdrawing, that we don't talk about it. Okay. There's and of course those women that have experienced it throughout their life. So the second side of that coin is to have the conversation. We have to have the conversation. The other thing that I do in regards to that is I get out there that never ask, are you okay? Because the first answer that is the first question, or the first answer, is going to be no, or yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. We don't want to admit it. We don't want. So we ask instead, how can I help you? I've noticed changes. I've noticed this happen. Let's sit down for coffee. Let's go for a ride. Let's talk about it. If we can get educated as women, that to say, how can I help you? As opposed to, are you okay? Because we're just going to say, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, everything's fine. But we know we're not, but we don't know how to say, because we don't know how to say, I need help. So that's tough.
Mhm.
So thank you for the question, Susie. So I- so we have to we have to recognize, we want to recognize we want to recognize that there may be an issue, that we may not be healed from that childhood trauma. Things that our father did to us, things that our uncles did to us, things that family members, things that happened when I have a very good friend of mine that she was just walking to the market, and she's in Africa. She was walking to the market and she was gang raped by six men. And she was just a teenager. So acknowledging that is first and foremost. So acknowledging that, and that it's okay and it wasn't her fault. That's the other thing, is to let her know that is not your fault.
Mm.
You were being a human being. You're a kind, loving, providing for your family, providing for your kids, doing what's necessary, and an incident occurred. And I'm not making light of the incident by any means, okay? But when we can get it from it's my fault and I'm I'm the problem, to that it was just an event that happened, then maybe we can now start healing from it. And that's when we can say, okay, you know what? I heard Chris, this was not my fault. I'm not alone in this. Let me find help. Let me seek help. Let me talk to somebody. I have conversations through Messenger, Facebook Messenger, through WhatsApp, my text on my phone. I mean, all day long from women and men that they just want to talk. And I'm here to listen. That's the biggest thing that I have is two big ears. There's so many other women out there that are starting to do this and recognize it. Just listen. So if your friend comes to you, or if you suspect something, the biggest thing I say is take them for a ride. If you can, put them in a vehicle because it's a moving vehicle. They can't jump out. Okay. So as much as we want to say, yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, that's the wall going up. That's the wall. We don't want to talk about it. There's so much stigma associated with this. So if they're in and you could say, hey, listen, I've noticed some changes. I'm not judging. I just want to know, how can I help you? Where can we look for help? What's going on? What can I do to help? What do you need? Just to ask some basic questions and really listen to that person. And if they're still up at the wall, say, listen, your attitude at work is you don't come out with the girls anymore. We don't do this anymore. I don't see you anymore. We don't talk anymore. Is there somebody that I can recommend for you to talk to? Do you need somebody to talk to? And just start the conversation there. It may not happen on that first conversation. It may take one or two. Don't push, just be there. Just be a set of ears. So thank you, Susie, for that question. That was awesome. Thank you.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Renata, you have your hand up. Go ahead. And we're going to take one more and then we need to end. Go ahead, Renata.
Thank you so much, Christine, to be open with us. And we know that so many, as you started by statistics. I love that because it's important for us to understand the statistics also. And
that's what's reported, Renata. We don't know what's not reported.
yeah, exactly. And I think the worst thing about rape is the feeling that comes after that. That is we call shame. And shame is one of the most toxic feeling that we can have, because when we feel shame, we feel together that we don't deserve. We don't deserve to be happy. We don't deserve that people be worried about us. And I think that that's maybe why this case with Giselle Perot is being so talked around the world, because she's a French woman from the high society, and she's trying to change the narrative that the one who had to be shamed is the author of this violence, not the victim. So if we don't change the narrative, we are going to still blame the victims, like the mini skirt that we talked so much. Oh, but what kind of clothes were you wearing in that day? Like, did you have a drink before that? Like, they trying to blame the woman, and we together have to change this narrative. That's so important. And I think I'm going to talk by Carol now, but I think that was one of the reasons we started this project, to give voice to women, because when we start to listen to each other, we say, okay, we are together and we can do something. And so I really appreciate your time to come here and share that, because we know that it's not easy to share this kind of things, but it's so important. It's so important. And I'm sure you know how important it is. So I just thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Renata. Thank you. One of the things, I'm glad you brought that up about language, because one of the things that I try and change is that we are not abused women. We are women of abuse. Okay. It's that tiny little, thank you. Thank you, Carol.
It's a
Tiny
mindset.
little, it is. And that tiny little switch is huge. It gives us our power back. It gives us the ability to say that it wasn't me, that to be able to get rid of that shame and guilt, Renata. Okay. It was just an act. It was just something that happened. It was just an event, but I still have my power as a woman.
Yeah.
Again, sassy, strong, assertive,
Yeah.
smart, sexy, independent.
I love that.
So yes, I'm working on changing the language.
Beautiful, Christine. Okay, Maria.
Thank you.
And Bayan, we'll have you go and you'll be the last person. Go ahead, Maria.
Oh, thanks so much. A few years ago, 3 women met in my garden, myself and 2 others, and we said we have to put a full stop to domestic violence. We don't know what that sent the message to the universe, but we actually said that in my garden, and that felt powerful. But also, I went to one event very recently, organized by the Universal Peace Federation in London. And it was all about ending violence. And were we going to be in time to do it by the UN mandate of, I think, 2030, I think, is the time they're saying. So what I wanted to offer, Christine, is I have contacts in London who would really, I'm sure, like to be in contact. And so if somebody can send me, because I won't be able to save the chat today, Carol, please.
It's okay. I'll make sure you get it.
Then I'm happy to be in touch and to facilitate in any way I can. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. Thank you thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Oh,
Awesome.
I love that. And that's what this is all about, is that you're networking with women that really are out there making a difference. And we can take your story many, many different places, many different directions. So we want to support in any way that we can. You're not by yourself, Christine.
Thank you. I know that, Carol. Thank you.
You have.
One of the other things that I'm working on and trying to finish up with everything else is to get this all in a book. It's like 3/4 of the way written, almost done. So
Awesome. Okay. Balan, please come and just introduce yourself really quickly to Christine, because you weren't here when we started. Go ahead.
Hello, Christine. My name is Bailan Mahino. I am the founder of Global Dream Makers, and I've created a life framework that I call the Dream Maker Matrix. And it was really created, I've come to understand what that is, because I was a woman of abuse in my first marriage. And that was how I realized, that was how I was able to pull out of it. So my question for you is, emotional abuse. Emotional abuse doesn't have the bruises. It's different, and yet it's still abuse, and it is so pervasive.
yes.
And it's also the piece, where women need to, like you said, they need to come to it themselves, that I need help, right?
Yes.
They need to recognize that they have a problem and they just don't know what it is, right?
Exactly. Especially when
So,
it comes to that.
right?
Yes.
Yes. And so, what I'd like to ask you to do, so that our listeners can perhaps recognize themselves, is give them a list, just in your mind. When people come to you and you know that they've abused, what are the things that they say? What are they telling themselves, or what do they say about it? You know.
I think the biggest thing, and thank you, Bailan, thank you. Great question as well. So emotional abuse is very hard to recognize. Okay. It is one of those things that when you step away and you get done with the conversation, you go, did that really happen? Am I the crazy one? But wait a second. I know this to be a fact, but now this is what he's saying. The biggest one that my ex did was, but I don't remember that. Okay, well, just because you don't remember it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Okay. The emotional abuse, narcissism falls under, and let's be clear so that everyone out there, narcissism right now is a big, huge buzzword.
It is.
Narcissism is a form of abuse. Okay. It takes on verbal abuse, that emotional abuse, that mental abuse. So all the gaslighting, all the you're crazy. If you start if your gut, listen to your gut, it's there for a reason. Okay. It's telling you there's a problem. So listen to it. So when it's saying, and you're getting, okay, so the biggest thing that I heard is if it's a yellow flag, it's not a green one. It's just waiting to be a red flag. So if that yellow is happening, there's a problem. Some of the other, they're so subtle. Yes, excuses, yes. And those emotional abuses are so subtle that you basically walk away going, am I crazy? Did that really happen? I mean, there are times of conversations that I had with my ex that I went, wait a second, you said this last week, but now you're saying this week. Well, which one is it? Which one do I really believe? It's a very slow abuse. It's not like physical where, all of a sudden, bam, you just punched in the eye and the next day you got a black eye. Okay. It's a very slow, methodical abuse.
Yeah.
And it, like I said, it shows its way, through narcissism, through the gaslighting. If you don't feel comfortable and your gut is screaming at you, listen to it. Listen to it. I actually created a book and I'm working on a webinar, 50 toxic traits that actually goes through all those from, the very subtle, emotional, mental, verbal, okay, all the way down to the physical. 50 toxic traits.
Yeah.
And it's on my website. You can't miss it. It goes through all of that. And I'm actually developing a webinar right now to be able to teach women just that, Bailon, so that they can see, because they, somebody, Miss Carol's idea of emotional abuse or what she's experiencing as emotional abuse could be totally different than Miss Maria went through, in her marriage. Completely different, but it's still classified as emotional. The biggest thing I can tell you is trust your gut.
Absolutely.
Trust your gut. If you're actually stepping back and going, did that just happen? Wait a second. I'm not the crazy one. I know I'm not the crazy one. Yeah. Then it did some form of abuse.
One of the big red flags is if they start having you question yourself, you
Yes.
start looking. Because if they're not cheering you on in your life, you start looking.
Yes.
You really and truly don't want to be with people that are not your cheerleaders in life. You really
Exactly.
want to be with that because it starts creating a mindset. And that mindset is a big, big deal. Christine, please,
Yes.
please go
Yes.
into our chat and put your information so I can put it in the description along with the episode so people can reach out to you and your website, your whatever, your
Yeah.
podcast, your anything and everything that they can reach out to you and get a hold of you. Please put it in the chat and I'll make sure all of the hosts here get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have all that information from my speaker sheet, absolutely. But the easiest way is
Okay.
to send me an email. It's
Okay.
Christine at sassycoach.com. And of course, that's my website too. And you'll see the email and all those listings as well on the website.
Okay. The only thing is that I'd like to be able to just copy and paste and put it into the description on the episode.
Okay.
If you could put that in, I would really appreciate it. And then I'll make sure everybody else gets it. But your website, anything that we need to be able to connect with you around.
You
'Cause I
got it.
know
You got
everyone
it.
here is going to want to connect. Susie runs a podcast. I am sure she will want
Awesome.
to connect to you. Raksha is going to be running a podcast. Many, many different things that we're all doing here. So, oh, please, we would love to. We want to stay in contact also. Okay.
Sounds
Oh,
good. Sounds
absolutely.
awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. This has been
Absolutely.
absolutely amazing. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for the courage it takes to tell the story.
Mhm.
Thank you. And thank you for the courage it takes to make a difference in other women's lives. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, all of you.
Thank you.
Love you. Thank you.
Guys, if you love these episodes, please subscribe to our channel. Please share it with everybody so more and more women can hear what we're bringing to them. Please, please, if you'd like to be a guest, we are all over LinkedIn, social media. Connect with us. Ask us to be a guest. We have many availabilities in February. Very few in January. We're already booked for January, guys. Oh my gosh. We do 2 of these on Monday and 2 of these on Friday. And we would love to hear your stories. So please, and your story makes a difference. Just know your story makes a difference. No matter what it is, it will make a difference. So come be our guest, okay? But like our episodes and then share them out on social media so many women can see them, okay? All right. Thank you so much for another amazing episode of Women Empowered Across the World. Thank you. Bye, everyone.